broadcasting live from an undisclosed location. This is the Community MMA with your host, Chris Cross.
Oh no! Oh no! Oh no!
Everybody's upset.
Let's go, baby! Baby! Oh no! What up? This is your boy Chris Cross checking in. This is Community MMA, aka the TCMMA podcast. Welcome. And let's get right to it because I'm obviously not happy about the way things transpired this past weekend. I had to give it a few days rest before I get on the hot mic because I'm not happy, man. I'm very disappointed in Colby Covington. And let's not get it twisted. He let America down. This guy let America down because he put the country on his back, right? He made it to where it's USA versus everyone else, or at least in this case, the USA versus the UK versus Leon Edwards. Put the whole country on his back and then laid an egg on Saturday night. I mean, it's like he never showed up. The fight never got started. I'm saying during the fight, I'm riding with you after 2 rounds, even though you're down 2-0 easy, because there must be a plan here. Is the plan to wear out Leon Edwards? But then as you get into round 3, you see there's not really a plan. And he goes down 3-0. So now he's in a position where, okay, all right, things didn't go your way. You're down 3-0. So now you've got to go for the finish. But he never went for the finish. You would think at some point during the fight, it's got to be going through Colby Covington's head like, I'm not getting another opportunity. This is it. And I'm going to lay it all on the line and try to win this thing. If I get finished or I get caught, then so be it. Because I need to I can't go home for the rest of my life and be like, I could have done more. Any of you out there that have been in a championship game in any sport, you lose that game. It sticks with you forever. It don't matter if you're in 3rd grade or you're in college or the pros or whatever. You wish you can have it back. You got to lay it all on the line so that you can look back and, still going to be disappointment, but at least there's not really anything else I could have done. I did everything I could do to try to get the belt, to try to get the trophy, to try to get the title, whatever it may be. I got to do everything I can do to make it happen. And Colby didn't do that. And therefore, he let America down. He has Trump there. He's dressing up in the costumes. He's putting America on his back. He's getting people rooting for him. They probably wouldn't have rooted for him if Trump's not there, if he didn't make it big, America versus UK, and going back to the days of the War of Independence and all that stuff. It's like you get all that in play, and then you fall, and not only do you fall, it's like you never showed up. And you never went for the victory at the end. That's not what Leon Edwards did. Leon Edwards was down 3-1 to Usman, and he went for it in the 5th round. He laid it all on the line. Could have got caught, landed the leg kick, and got the title and never looked back. And now he's defended it twice against the 2 best fighters in the division, at least over the last 4 to 5 years. That's Usman and Colby. Beat them both. Leon went for it. He wasn't playing games. There was a lot of trash talking leading up to this fight. I told you Colby was going to win this fight. I was backing Colby. I was going with the hype. I was listening to what he said. And he let us all down at the end of the day. All of you that might not root for Colby normally would say, you know what? Trump's in the building. It's America versus everybody. I'm going to put you on my back. So you jump with Colby. You jump on his team. And he lays down in the end. Very disappointing. The guy had 44 significant strikes, 2 takedowns, well below half his average. In a 5-round fight, he averages nearly 95 to 98 significant strikes. He had 44. This guy gets more than a takedown per round. In fact, in a 5-round fight, he's used to getting 5 to 6 takedowns and straight control time. That didn't happen for him. It didn't happen. He laid an egg in this fight. I mean, he absolutely laid an egg. And people are weighing in on this like crazy, man. Nick Creamer saying this isn't going to age very well. It's unfortunate, too, because Colby's performance was disappointing. It was more than disappointing. Whatever's more than disappointing, that's what this fight was. It's like it never started. Colby never started the fight. And then had the audacity to say later, I thought I won the fight. This was the easiest fight of my life. Come on, man. Are you serious? This was far from the easiest fight of your life. You got dominated.
Everybody's upset.
And people left there like, what just happened? I mean, what was that? All that talk for that?
Oh my God, bro.
I mean, it's embarrassing. And then to take the road in which you say, I think I won the fight. I mean, it's crazy. Anyone watching that fight knows you didn't win. Your corner should have told you more, but they were telling you weren't winning at least. At Darren Bishop says, Leon is always respectful to everyone. Colby is nothing but a watered-down McGregor. Advertising and nothing else. It's true. That's what it looked like. I can't argue. Mark DeJean, we told you, man. Y'all did. You told me. But I was buying in to Colby Covington's talk. I was buying into the hype. And what happened? It cost me 3 main events in a row because we were on a two fight losing streak in the main event. We dropped 3 in a row after starting the year 27-12. Like 14-3 to start the year, and we just crashed at the end. But it's okay. We're going to get into that in a moment. But we just got to see what the people are talking about. It's important. Colby was so embarrassing, no doubt. Looked like he had an easier time with Colby than Usman. Speaking of Leon. He did. And if you look at everything that transpired before this fight, I mean, that's what a normal person will probably say. Leon beat Usman and Usman beat Colby twice. Or Leon beat Usman twice and Usman beat Colby twice. So why would you predict Colby to win? I was buying into the hype. And he's one of my dudes, right? He's one of my dudes. But at the end of the day, you guys are right that I should have kept moving him down the do list, even though I tried to keep him in the top 10 for as long as possible. They said New Zealand says he followed Trump's playbook. Talk big, lose, claim you won. Yeah, that's what it looked like too, right? That's exactly what it felt like. Great statement there. Although it makes my insides turn. You know what I'm saying? Nick Creamer, and we already read that one. This isn't going to age well yet. It's true, man. It is just a rough night for Colby Covington. And I would like to say I feel bad for him, but it's like he never started the fight. He let America down. That's the bottom line. That's the truth. Now, as you look at, and this is the last card of the year, our picks, right? Obviously, see Colby Covington lost there. We won 3 in a row leading up to that and had a chance to get to 7-5 and 28-14 on the year, which would have been respectable. 27-15 is still respectable, but we'd love to have 2 more wins and losses in the main event after we started so strong. All right, but we lost some others like Bryce Mitchell, Dustin Jacoby. We lost Casey O'Neill, Cody Durden, Martin Budai. There's some fights in there I thought we'd win. Cody Garbrandt came through. Irene Aldana came through. Those were gimmies as far as I was concerned. Patty Pimblett, Shavkat, Alexander Pantoja, pretty much gimmies. You know, but there's some ones there that I really thought would go. I thought, you know, in 12 fights, I thought we'd go 8-4, maybe 9-3, but it just didn't turn out that way. But the big number there is at the bottom right overall, 318 and 185, solid year. We'll take it every year. This is the first year we tracked it because we had such a strong year last year, and then we went back-to-back strong years. The main event a little weaker than this year. This year was tough, man. A lot of tough main events to choose from. 43 of them. 43. In 52 weeks. It only gives us 9 weeks off. But solid records to finish the year. And we'll take that. As is custom, we had to update the due list after this past week. Hamza still 1. John Jones still 2. Makhachev and Pereira still 3 and 4. Leon Edwards moves up to number 5. Well deserving. Charles Oliveira dropped a spot. Volkanovski dropped a spot. Sean O'Malley still at 8, Shavkat at 9. Although you can make an argument maybe he's 8 or 7, but you gotta leave Volk up there too, though, at least right now. And then Adesanya, number 10. The top 20 didn't change much except Colby fell from number 8 to number 13 and will likely slide farther as time goes on, because I think it's over for him at this point in the welterweight division. I don't know if he can even be strong enough in the middleweight division. I just don't see a path to a title for Colby, and that's why it was so disappointing that he didn't go for the victory in that fight, because you just get the feeling that that's it, right? I mean, he's not getting another chance. It's just not going to happen. It was a wasted opportunity for Colby Covington. And that's why we say he let us down. He let America down. And if you were rooting for him and you're American, he let you down in more ways than one. That's just the bottom line. It's just the bottom line. I mean, it was just a rough night for Colby. As we jump into the Q&A. Now, these are going to be topics that aren't Colby Covington. So let me pull that up, right? This is everything else. So Hamza Chimaev was destroying his training partner in this video we found today. I mean, it's crazy. And I said, who would get in there with Hamza to take those punches? The guy was getting walloped. Well, Justin Greenway says, I'll do it for 1,000. It's like, whoa, 1,000? That's, dang. I need at least 10 G's, maybe 100. The way that guy was taking shots to the body. Michael Rousey, he's fighting a nobody. Yeah, but the point was look at those punches and body shots. Yeah, the guy was just there to take shots. And Hamza was landing them. That was the crazy part. This guy was taking shots to the body. Shawani Pun says, I'm first, like in this video. So you got the first like. Yeah, it ended up having several thousand views. So yeah, it was a short, and he got the first like. And you got to be on it, man, to get the first like, because they're coming fast and heavy. I mean, definitely. Shannon Richardson says, Patty loses next fight. Now, I like Patty, but I don't see him beating anyone in the top 10. I'm not so sure. You know, one thing I notice about Patty is he looked much stronger in this fight. It's like he's going from a kid to a man. And you see this with other fighters like Chase Hooper. Well, I'm starting to see that with Patty in the body, the shoulders. He's just looking stronger. And this is why it's harder for these guys to make weight over time. Orange Predator says he couldn't finish a guy who should probably retire, but he looks stronger than ever. Get a grip, dude. And listen, you can say whatever you want. Tony Ferguson should retire. He's fallen off a cliff. But when you look at Patty's resume, it says Tony Ferguson win. He beat him. That's still a big name, regardless of what's happening right now. I'm just telling you, it's still Tony Ferguson. And that's why guys like Patty take this fight. We thought it was a little weird, but it's all to get the win. And then you can say you have that on your resume. And you might not think it means anything, but it certainly does. Now, when we get into Dana White and his comments on Strickland versus Duplessis, you remember that whole thing at UFC 296, Vigo Mundo says, blame Strickland. He's an adult. He can control himself. He's the only one responsible for his actions. Yes, but you don't take two fighters that are getting ready to fight and put them 2 rows within each other. Right? And the fact that he had Gilbert Burns' daughter, I believe, move seats and then jump over and start swinging on Duplessis. I mean, that's crazy. That's crazy. If anyone else does that, they get taken into custody. Okay, they're going behind bars. This is why people say, is this stuff planned? Is it planned? Because nothing happens. He gets escorted from the arena, but that's no big deal. That just even looks better as far as the promotion. I mean, it just does. So you got Michael, is it Michael Venom Page? Venom Page wants the UFC to find fighters for trash talk. That's not where we need to go in this sport. I don't agree with what Colby Covington said about Leon Edwards' father, and it's unfortunate, but it's part of the hype around the fight. It just is. And to start silencing guys, you want to make this like the NBA, where if someone touches somebody, then everyone's getting thrown out and there's going to be huge fines. I don't like it. It changes things up. I want the aggression. I want the guys being held back, and I like the lead up to the fights. Although it's tough when people say certain things. But he really fast is. I mean, when you make fun of someone that was taken advantage of as a child in order to promote a fight, that's something I'm okay with you getting fined for. But then you set a new precedent, right? It's like canceling people. Okay, well, who's in charge of canceling people? And why does one person get to say something and not get canceled? Another person does and they get canceled. So there's a gray area there. And I think if you open that door, you get into the gray. And that's why I love Dana White, because he just says, hey, we're not doing anything about it except keeping it under control. At Goodwill Hunt says, certainly inflammatory statements may jeopardize the actual event, especially family and racially charged statements. And I don't see how it jeopardizes the event. If anything, it leads to more people wanting to watch the event. See, that's the whole thing that Dana White understands as a promoter. There's a fine line there, but this is the fight game. This isn't the National Football League or the NBA, where there's not supposed to be a fight. These guys are getting into a cage and locking the door. There's going to be some things said leading up to the fight, especially when you get to the title situation, because you only get a few chances at that. If you get a few, it might be one. Gator Yee Ross says, obviously it will be in South Africa. Speaking of Duplessis winning over Strickland, what other country had the resources and infrastructure within mainland Africa to support the UFC circus? Oh, such a complicated dilemma. And now this might shock you, but South Africa is actually inside Africa. And that's why we brought this up, because it's interesting. Dana White has a little dilemma here, because he said this year there's going to be UFC Africa, but if Duplessis wins, they're going to take the fights to South Africa, and does that count? It's a whole thing. How can we understand it? Really, I'm not going to try to. But I can understand the dilemma that he's facing. Make no mistake about it. Venom Page wants to, and we already had that one, but more people come in and they say he's delusional. Another one says, talking about someone's parents who passed or childhood trauma is plain garbage and it isn't needed to boost sales for a fight. I disagree. I'm not saying it's needed. But if you stop that, then what else do you stop? It's like a snowball effect. Once you get in there and separate them, then guys are going to be scared to say certain things, and you're going to water this sport down. And that's not what built the sport. What built the sport is John Jones going after Daniel Cormier, right? And hyping it up. More eyeballs are coming in. Everybody's talking about it. People are at work talking about it in their daily lives. To people who don't watch it, now they want to watch it. This is the whole thing, and this is why Dana White knows what he's doing. And that's why I say when Dana White leaves, it's going to be a sad day for the UFC. Homie is in the wrong sport and environment, talking about feelings and rights. Yeah, I mean, there's no feelings in the fight game. There's just not. There's just no feelings in the fight game. That's the bottom line. You got to let these guys say what they want and live with it, and do everything you can to keep them separated from each other. Don't stop them from talking. Leon Edwards is going to throw a water bottle, right? Nate Diaz and Conor are going to throw water bottles back at each other. Khabib's going to jump the octagon fence after beating McGregor. That was probably the most unfortunate situation. Yeah, they're charged up. It's the fight game, but you got to have personnel and security that can shut that down pretty quickly. Now, if it ever spirals into the crowd and it extends for 20, 30 minutes and they have trouble putting, stopping it, escalating into the crowd, that will be the problem. And that's what doomed the NBA, right? To lead them to make all the changes to now you never see, you hear people say this too. These guys in the NBA couldn't fight it, a wet napkin or whatever the saying is. Like they probably could, but we don't see the aggression anymore. We see one guy shove one and a guy shove him back, and that's it. You don't see like the big fights anymore where guys are getting ejected and it's lasting 3 minutes and they got to go to the replay and see who punched who and all this stuff. You don't have that anymore. And that led to excitement. If it gets out of control, that's when you have a problem. You got to do something. But if it doesn't get out of control, it's interesting. Now, as we go forward, not today, but as we go forward, we got a lot to talk about. Who's fighting at UFC 300? Is it McGregor? Is it Hamza? Is it both? Is there someone else going to be up there? I mean, a lot of people want to know what's going on with UFC 300. That's a big one. UFC 299 in Miami is going to be ridiculous. You got Burns versus Jack Della Maddalena. You got Curtis Blades versus Jailton Almeida. I mean, I hear Miami, and I'm from just a little ways north of Miami. So you say Miami, I want to know what's going on, and it's like they're putting a huge card together for Miami. That's going to be fun. That'll be in March with UFC 300 in April. It worked out perfect because that's when things really start heating up. You got NCAA basketball starting to heat up. The NBA playoffs aren't quite here yet. But by the time you get into UFC 300, there's going to be nothing really on tap except for just, your normal NBA basketball. So there's going to be a lot of eyeballs on the UFC for UFC 300. The UFC knows this, and they're not in any rush to make a decision because they got to make sure they get guys locked. And McGregor on the top of the card, I don't think you can beat that, and I think it's going to be necessary. And people were saying, no, there's going to be a title fight. There's no title fight right now that would be bigger than McGregor on top of that card. And, if you get the UFC 500, 600 way into the future, you can look back and people aren't going to know that McGregor wasn't the same at 300. I mean, you may remember that, but it's still going to be McGregor at 300. Who's fighting at 400, 500, 600? So, for the history of the sport, and it's not even history yet, but it will be, McGregor needs to be in the main event at 300. There don't need to be a title fight. McGregor needs to be in the main event. And I will put Hamza in the co-main event, but he wants a title fight, so who knows how that's going to shake out. But that's what we got to do. That's what has to happen, and we'll have to wait and see. But listen, for now, I'm going to take off. We wanted to get in and talk to you about Colby, man, and a disappointment. Still disappointed. Rough way to end the year, but very happy for Leon Edwards, to keep the belt in one of the toughest divisions in the UFC, and not only keep it, but dominate. Absolutely dominate. For now, this is your boy Chris Cross. This is a TCMMA podcast. Hope you have a great day and God bless. As always, peace.